Well, good day, viewers. Today we have a 1994 Buick 3800 tuned port. It's got a misfire. Check engine light is not on. Doesn't count misfires, 1994. But we're going to short out spark plugs one at a time, see if we can figure out what cylinder it is. So because this thing is too old to have misfire counters or flash the MIL, prior to 1996 they didn't do that. We're going to short out spark plug wires with a grounded pick by sliding the pick up the boot till we touch the metal part. Spray the boots down with some silicone spray to make them slide in nice and easy. And we're going to see if we can identify which cylinder or pair of cylinders, because it could be one of these three coils that's failed, is not contributing. So I'm going to start it up. That cylinder doesn't make any difference. Neither does that one. But these, that does, that does, that does, that does. So I think this coil's dead. So on these old girls, pulling the spark plug wires off like this and creating that air gap of about the width of your thumb is a natural spark tester. So when I start it, that coil should be firing. Okay, so we got no spark on that coil. So the possibilities are the coil has failed, or the ignition module, which is underneath here, which drives the coil, connects to two terminals over here, has failed. You could swap these coils, even though they're numbered. That's just for the initial. These are original. I'm going to see if I have one of these coils. I might have one in stock. So we could also measure the secondary resistance across these two towers. Should be between 5 and 15,000 ohms. But I found a previously enjoyed coil, and it's just faster to install that, because it's usually the coil that fails on these. 5.5 millimeter socket to remove the coil. And it just pulls off. There's the two primary connections right there. And we'll just stick this coil on here and stick one of these in here just to hold it down. I might as well put them both in. I'm going to start it up like that and see if we've got spark on that coil. Okay, as you can hear and see, got good spark on that coil. So let's put this back together again. Now those two plugs, that happens to be cylinder 1 and 4, could be fouled from misfiring. I see that coil leaking. That coil's leaking. But at least it's firing now. So the gap on that number 4 spark plug is pretty wide. Anyways, I'm going to call a set of plug wires on this thing, set of spark plugs, and a new coil. Those plug wires are all original. They've still got the original numbers on from 1994, so it's time. So the factory put plug wire numbers on there. You can see these are all original wires with the loom on them still. But I see some vacuum hoses here that are cracked. Another one here that's cracked. That goes off to the heater controls. That's the vacuum reservoir for the heater control. That's a check valve. There's a cruise control diaphragm. So we got to get some vacuum hose and replace some vacuum lines here as well. PCV valve is underneath here. I bet you that's never been changed. So again, set of plugs, wires. No, number 4 is at the back. It's 2, 4, 6. This is number 1, 3, 5 in the front. Regardless, the plugs are worn out. So I take this as number 1, 3. This is number 3. Well, nevertheless, order up some parts. So here's the plugs on this thing. They're worn like crazy. Vacuum hoses are all rotten. I guess that happens after 30 plus years. And number 4 spark plug is a little carbon fouled. I think it's burning oil in that cylinder for sure. You can see the gap on the spark plugs is pretty wide. PCV valve is under the intake port there in the front of the intake manifold. So we're just waiting for some plug wires now and put this thing back together. So we've got the new plugs in. Wires are on order, so I've temporarily reconnected the original wire so I can put it outside. Should be in tomorrow. I fixed these vacuum hoses over here. This vacuum hose going to the reservoir for the AC system right here, and these vacuum lines here go to the cruise control. So chances are his cruise wasn't working before. New coil installed, obviously new plugs, PCV valve underneath here. I do have a fuel filter to put underneath, and I replaced the air filter. So let's start it up and see how it runs now. It's running on all 6 cylinders now. I see the AC compressor is cycling on and off. Short cycling like that, it's low on refrigerant, but that should be expected being a 94. So that's it for now. We're going to put this up on the hoist later and change the fuel filter underneath. Hopefully that goes okay. Let's see, this is actually, is it R12 or R134? I should say right here. R134. Can get the fitting off. Well, that's a minor issue. I'm sure he's not going to need AC now this time of year.